Langa. I'm the Thuthuzela Center site manager. We are based at Prosecutor Memorial Hospital. However, we have Thuthuzela centers within eThekwini municipality. We have Thuthuzela center at Khan as well as in Phoenix, in the Gandhi hospital based in Phoenix. In KZN in total, we have 9 Thuthuzela centers. We also have a Thuthuzela center in Pietermaritzburg. It's at Edendale Hospital. We also have a Thuthuzela center in Madadeni Hospital. We also have a Thuthuzela center at Mbangeni, which is called Ingwelezane Thuthuzela center. We also have a Thuthuzela center in Wavuma, which has been recently launched. We also have a Thuthuzela center at Istenga. All these Thuthuzela centers, we are working with the victims of gender-based violence. We are dealing with high levels of gender-based violence as a package, but specifically we're dealing with rape, domestic violence, as well as offenses that are affecting children, LGBTQI, as well as like any other spectrum that would fall under gender-based violence. We are here to say we know that the students are new, they're coming from across the country, and they might be experiencing new changes in the new environment. It's a city for some of the students. Everything seems to be new and they will not know how to cope and so forth. Gender-based violence, it goes a long way. It comes from where a person is just walking and somebody just pounces your bum. That is sexual harassment. When you're walking by and somebody just passes a funny comment, a sexual harassment comment, normally sometimes people will just say doodle. Such things, they will build up, and one day that person will touch you, maybe will touch in your breast, or they will touch your private parts, or they will touch your bums. Sometimes it will escalate to an extent of rape. Now we're here just to say, what happens if you come across such situations? At Thuthuzela Center, as I mentioned, that we are presenting today, it's based at Prosecutor Hospital. And I do understand that students in MUT placed in residence that are surrounding a eThekwini municipality. A person can also walk in, if you are close to Phoenix, you can walk in at Phoenix, or you can walk in at RK Khan. We also have a crisis center in Eddington for those that are staying in town. Although the services are not the same, but you will be able to get assistance as soon as possible. What do you get here now in the Thuthuzela Center? When you enter in the Thuthuzela Center, you will have a nurse, you will have a doctor, you will have a social worker, you will have police, you will have NPA. As myself, I'm employed by the National Prosecuting Authority. Why do we have National Prosecuting Authority within the Thuthuzela Center? National Prosecuting Authority is the leading department within the Thuthuzela Center. Reason being is that everyone who has been raped and have open charges against the perpetrators, they will land in our courts, and the state must prosecute such cases. And in the past, we did see that those cases of rape specifically, they were not prosecuted in a positive way, because you find out that the victim lost interest along the way, or the victim got sick, or the victim was not attended in a proper manner. What do we mean when we say we're not attended in a proper manner? We have a situation where a victim will walk in at the SAPS, and then you find out that there's a shooting around the area, and that takes priority in SAPS. But now, is it saying that the person that has been raped and has been violated is less important? That is why now we have Thuthuzela Center, because when that person walks in at the Thuthuzela Center straight, or they walk in at the SAPS, if that person is taken immediately from the police station to Thuthuzela Center, then the police can proceed and go and attend whatever that they need to. There in the Thuthuzela Care Center, we have a police official that is employed by the SAPS that will be able to assist the victim in obtaining what we call a SAP 308, which is a consent form that allows the doctor to examine the person. When we say now we're dealing with SAPS, why are we saying we're dealing with SAPS? Is because we will normally see when we have a situation where a crime has been committed and the police mark that area as do not enter. So when a person has been raped or the person has been violated sexually, that person becomes a crime scene. That person cannot be managed anyhow by anybody. That is why we request that if you have been raped, you do not bath, you do not douche, you can remove your clothes and put them in a paper bag, but not in a plastic. And we also request that if a person or you know a person that has been raped, you refer that person as soon as possible to the Thuthuzela Care Center, because then we need to preserve as much as we can evidence on that person that has been raped. So now we have the crime scene, we have a person, because the person when they walk in the Thuthuzela Care Center, we want to restore the dignity of that person. And that is why our main focus is to, we're saying that the Thuthuzela Care Centers are victim-centered, court-directed, and we strive to reduce secondary victimization, because when you walk in there and there and there and there, this person asks you a question and another person asks you a question and start over, and other people are laughing and calling other people to come and listen to your story. Then you experience, then you feel like, oh, okay, I'm not going to be attended, people are not taking me serious, I just want to get away as much as possible. So we are trying by all means that when you walk in the Thuthuzela Care Center, you will feel that your dignity is restored, you will feel respected, and above all, you will be able to get all the assistance that you need all in one roof, because that is what Thuthuzela Care Center is. It's a multidisciplinary that is dealing with high levels of gender-based violence. However, to do that, we have social development. We have social development that has employed social workers through NGOs. In the TCC, we have Lifeline. With me, I have Miss Felicity Brown. She's a Lifeline social worker. She deals with the victims of rape and domestic violence. She makes sure that the person is able to cope with what has happened to her. She walks that journey with that person until the person goes to court. And then, now I would like to take you to the process in the Thuthuzela Care Center. Now you are in the Thuthuzela Care Center, what happens then? You get in, as I mentioned earlier, the SAPS will do what we call a consent form, because we cannot just touch that person without the police being informed that this person has been violated, and then they will give that form to the victim, who will now hand it over to the nurse. The nurse will do the vital signs. Just as I came in, I heard the sister talking about that they will refer the victims of rape to the hospital. The reason being is because they cannot just give treatment, they cannot touch you, they cannot do anything. We just need to be managed properly by the people who need to manage that person. So in the Thuthuzela Care Center, the nurse will take bloods, because we don't know the person that has raped the person, what they live with, whether the person has HIV, we have other diseases like hepatitis, as well as STIs. So the nurse will do the vitals and to check the person, if the person is okay. Because you might find out that the person walks in, you think the person is okay, only to find that the person is not okay, her BP is high, she needs to be managed prior to examination. If the person is well, the bloods have been taken, the person tests negative to HIV, then the nurse will take the victim to the doctor, who will now do what we call forensic examination. We have crime kits that are in the TCC that are provided by the SAPS to make sure that the evidence is collected. That is why I mentioned earlier that if a person has been raped, we encourage that person not to bath, not to douche, not to change clothes and everything, because now when you are in the examination with the doctor, the nurse will be there to advocate on you and also to interpret on your behalf to the doctor, because they might talk the jargon that you will not understand. So the nurse is here to break the the barrier between the doctor and the patient. So when the person is being examined, there will be a doctor, the nurse, and the person who has been examined, and the doctor will use a crime kit to take the swabs. If there's a need to take the clothes, they will take those clothes. And however, I would like to mention, should we have to take the underwear in most cases, because we find out that the person will say do not bath. So if the person didn't bath, it means that they are carrying evidence with them. So we will take the underwear and it will be sent to forensic laboratory for forensic analysis, because in the end we want to prove in court beyond a reasonable doubt that indeed this person raped you, because we know that the person has raped you, they will deny that they've raped you. There are instances where the victim is saying, the suspect said I must bath, the suspect said I must take off my clothes and then I must wash my clothes, I must clean their crime scene. That should not discourage the person who has been raped. You still walk in a Thuthuzela case center and the doctor will examine and fill in a J88. And we do not know, the evidence might still be in your body and the doctor might still able to find something. So we encourage people that whether they've been raped now or they were raped 2 years ago or 3 years ago, please go and report. Now we're not saying if the person was raped 2 years ago, there's still physical evidence, but we are saying that the doctor will examine you and actually confirm that the person has been violated or has been penetrated of some sort. But now also it does not necessarily mean that you only report when you were penetrated. The person can also report even if they were not penetrated, they were just harassed, they were just touched or kissed, or the person fingered the person, or whatever sexual violation that may be. You just need to report it, because that is trauma on its own. And then when the person is done with the doctor, the doctor will make sure that the crime kit is sealed in the proper way and in your presence, as well as the presence of the police official as well as the nurse. So you will sign that you are sure that this crime kit that has been packaged, you saw it was not tampered with and it was sealed in your presence, and then the police can take it and then it can be taken to forensic laboratory. Also, we have a case manager, which is a prosecutor, a TCC prosecutor, who will see the patient or the person who has been raped. We normally, the bookings are normally 2 weeks to a month, because like there are a lot of cases that involve sexual offenses. So the bookings are done by the detective. So the detective who will be investigating the matter will link up with the case manager, who will arrange the prosecutor's interview. Now, why do we need the prosecutor's interview? It's because anyone who has a lawyer has a right to talk to their own lawyer, and the state and the state is your attorney or is your lawyer per se if you have been violated. So you need to have consultation with that person. Tell that person exactly what happened so that he knows how he will manage the case in court. So we encourage the victims as well to see the social workers. Now I know that the university has counselors and may have social workers. We advise that if you have opened the case, you see our social workers, because as you know, when people are working, they have jurisdiction, and university does not, their social workers or their counselors does not have jurisdiction for court to write the reports to court. So we encourage the students that if they have been violated, they arrange with the social worker. Even if they cannot come during the week, they can make a special arrangement that maybe I can make it after hours or I can make it during the weekend. But just make sure that you arrange with the social worker that you come, because when your case goes to court, the court will want to know from the social worker, how were you affected by the incident, how were you supported during the incident, and how are you coping now, how will you cope after the case. So every service that is found within the TCC is very important. But we also have somebody as well within the NPA that is based at the TCC, what we call a victim assistant officer. This person is a link. We normally call that person a heart of the TCC, because when a victim is at the TCC, she will see the doctor, she will see the nurse, she will see the social worker, but now she will see the prosecutor as well. But now, what happens, we know people open a case and then it just goes AWOL, we don't know what's happening. As much as your case is going on, it's being postponed, but we need somebody who's going to link up and let you know what's going on with your case. So this person is a victim assistant officer employed by the National Prosecuting Authority. What she does is when a case goes to court on that specific day, when the person got a bail, he was arrested, he got a bail, she calls the victim and says, look, your matter went to court today, it was postponed. If the suspects threatens you or come near you where you stay, please report to your investigating officer as soon as possible. If you feel threatened in any form or anyhow, or your family feels threatened, please make sure that you report the matter. Also, the person also makes sure that you are reminded of all your appointments. If you have an appointment with a social worker, you have an appointment with a doctor, and you have forgotten, she calls you and says, remember, you have to come and see the doctor because you might have treatment that you need to come and collect. Now I'm talking about the treatment. When the person has been raped, you mentioned that we don't know what the person who raped you lived with. When we're all like here in the room, we don't know who lives with what. Some people may have hepatitis, some people may have HIV, some people may have STIs, we don't know, but we are all walking freely and we are all okay, we all look okay. So you cannot see which Jabusile being as Thuthuzela as she is, and then you just assume that this person doesn't have HIV, so there's no need for me to go to the hospital. It is important that you go to the Thuthuzela Care Center, you get tested. Where you test negative, then the nurse or the doctor will issue you with the post-exposure prophylaxis that will take for 28 days to make sure that you do not contract HIV or HIV from that person. And also you will be given, for those who are not contracepting as well, they will be given what we call a morning after pill to make sure that you don't fall pregnant, as well as STI prophylaxis. Also, as I mentioned, there are tests that are done, there are bloods that are taken as well. Where there's a need, that also the doctor will recommend that the person is given a hepatitis injection, which is taken in intervals, but the nurses will advise as to when that is taken. Basically now, we urge everyone that if you feel that you are here, you have been violated. We have some incidents where the person feels like, you know what, I invited this, I went to his room, maybe he did this. You do not keep quiet, you report it, because eventually it will affect you and affect your studies, and the university will just wonder why the student just quit like that and never came back. It is your right to be here, you deserve to be here, you deserve to study. You just need to know where to get help and when to get help. Thank you so much.